Today we're going to fix a broken charge port on the Quest 2. In my opinion, the Quest 2 is actually a pretty robust little unit, and there's not a whole lot of issues that seem to plague the unit that aren't caused by the user. From time to time we see things like sun damage, or broken speaker arms, head strap retainers get broken, lenses get scratched, but all of those things are just normal wear and tear and misuse of the device. The charge port, on the other hand, can just go bad. Sometimes the charge port goes bad because users are choosing to use a cable or a block that isn't rated for the port, but other times they can just fail out. They can be damaged from normal wear and tear, but the charge port itself can range in its damage from looking like this to looking something more like this. When we see this, we usually call it charge port melt, and this can be caused by one of two issues. Either the wear and tear on this unit has gotten so bad that it's caused a disconnect between the port and the ribbon cable it's attached to, which has caused overheating, or the charging block that's being used to charge this headset isn't rated for it. Now, to be fair with you, a lot of the evidence that I have for this is purely anecdotal and just based on the headsets that I've received and the customer stories that I get about these particular incidents. Regardless of that, charge ports do fail, and when they fail, they need to be replaced. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. Unfortunately, it takes pretty much a full disassembly of the unit, but that's okay. We've got the tools and we've got the time. Like all of the headset repairs, you're going to need two bits particularly. You're going to need the T2 bit, and you're going to need the Phillips 000 bit. You're also going to need a replacement charge port cable, and you can get these on our website. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Just like any Quest 2 headset repair, we're going to start by taking out the T2 screws that hold in the face shield. Once the screws are out, we'll take our pry tool and we'll pop the clips on the edge of the face shield, and we're going to lift up from the nose. This reveals this proximity sensor latch, which we can pop open, and then we can pull the proximity sensor straight back out. Now we need our Phillips screwdriver, and we're going to go around and we're going to take out the 5 screws that hold in the face plate. Now that I've got all my screws out, I can go ahead and take the faceplate off. What we're going to do is we're just going to grab at this top corner here and pull. Then we're going to do the same thing at the other corner, and the faceplate should just pop off. Just like that. Next, we're going to take this retaining bar out. It's held in by 3 screws, and it holds down the battery cable and the charge port cable. We also have this little Wi-Fi antenna that's hooked in here. We'll just pop that out of its seat and gently take it off the motherboard. Now this retainer can come free. Perfect. In some instances, I take that retainer bar off and I can feel that the battery or the charge port has come unplugged or is otherwise not in its spot. And one thing I am going to test is I'm going to make sure that it is the charge port that's not the problem and it's not like the board or the battery or something else. And I'll do that by taking my good charge port and going ahead and plugging that in. And then I'll plug that in to a normal cable and see if we get a light. So we got a light. That's a pretty good indication that it is the charge port that's failed. We can go ahead and unplug that. Take that unit out. We'll unplug the battery. and then we'll just continue with our normal disassembly. First thing that needs to come out is this Bluetooth antenna with this retaining bar here, and there's 8 screws that hold that in place. They're all a Phillips screw, so we'll just go ahead and take that out now. Next, we're going to take this fan out. There's one more Phillips screw here, and then a T2 screw that hides above this LED. This LED is just adhered on here with a little bit of glue. We're just going to take our tweezers and move that away. The fan hooks underneath the shell here, so I need to lift the shell up just a little bit to pull that away. And then we'll pull cable off the motherboard just straight out. Up next is the heatsink. It's just got 4 screws that hold that in. Then it just pops off like that. Next, I'm going to go around and I'm going to take all these cables out. There are 2 to look out for, are these 2, because they're kind of taped up here. So we need to gently remove these latches first, and then we'll take the tape off very slowly. Next, we'll go around and we'll take all these other ribbons out. And one thing just to keep an eye on is just to make sure that these are fully popped out. We don't want to make any mistakes by leaving them latched in and then breaking the latches off. There is a little bolt that holds the board down and also acts as a strut for that retainer that we took out earlier. I find that a hex bit works perfectly for this. And then we'll do the video cable. It comes back just like that. Next, I'm going to take out the 4 screws that hold down the motherboard. None of these are ferrous, so you have to use tweezers to get them out because your little magnetic screwdriver won't work. And after that, the whole board should just pop right out. Perfect. This Wi-Fi antenna has to come out of these clasps here. And then there's 4 screws that hold the LCD in place. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. This battery cable here is adhered to this aluminum chassis, so I just got to take my pry tool and pull that up ever so gently. After that, the LCD should just pop right out. Perfect. And now finally, at long last, we have access to this charge port. Taking a better look at the inside, you can definitely tell that this is melted a little bit, so either they were using the wrong kind of block, or there was some wear and tear here that caused this overheating. This is pretty common, even if the damage on the outside looks pretty minimal. Sometimes the damage on the inside can be way worse. Alright, now there's only 4 screws that hold the charge port down, but we actually have to take this ring off, or at least partially off, in order to get the charge port out. I'm going to go ahead and take these 4 screws out, as well as this screw and this screw. Alright, now that I've got all those screws out, I can unhook this speaker wire here. I'm going to take my pry tool and I'm going to lift up on this ring, which should then release the charge port. And we can just take that out, just like that. And then we'll take our new charge port and we'll pop that in place. The O-ring on this part of the charge port needs to hook around this plastic part on the shell frame. And then the O-ring that holds in the speaker arm fits right over top of it. Perfect. Now we can screw that all back together. Now that we've got our charge port back in place, I can go ahead and install my LCD. There's really nothing to it. We just need to make sure that all our cables are on the outside of the LCD here. The cable that usually gets trapped the most is this proximity sensor. We'll just make sure that's on the outside. And looks like everything's accounted for. We're going to go ahead and run this Wi-Fi antenna back through the grooves here. And then we're going to screw the LCD back in. Got to line the motherboard up with those standoff holes, and then it should just go back in place there. We'll make sure that none of the cables are beneath the motherboard before we screw it in. And then we can just go ahead and put all the screws back in place. Can't forget our little standoff screw here. Alright, and then we need to put all our cables back in place. The last cable I like to put back in place is this battery connector. We need to line this up pretty carefully in order not to damage it. If you need a better tutorial on how to do that, I do have a video specifically on battery replacement. And then we'll test the charge port. Make sure everything plugs in and works right. Alrighty, that's a good sign. So we can go ahead and put everything else back together and button it up. I always like to boot the device up and test it real quick just to make sure that all the cameras track and the battery is actually charging and there's no other issues. So I did that just now and it looks like everything's working, so we'll go ahead and put the faceplate back on. Alright, now our faceplate is screwed back in and we can go ahead and put our proximity sensor and face shield back on. This is one of the trickier parts of the repair actually. And it takes some patience getting this lined up perfectly. So make sure that you do line it up just right. And then close that ribbon latch just to lock it down. Remember, if you mess that part up with the proximity sensor, it will cause a black screen issue. So that's a really important key part. Got my last few T2 screws we'll go ahead and put in to lock down the face shield. Alrighty guys, and that unit's ready to go. Everything seems to work and track and charge just right, so we can send this one back to its owner. Guys, remember, if you need a charge port for your headset or you want to send yours in for repair, you can go ahead and check out our website, fixmyoculus.com. We also have tools available, so you can do that job at home yourself. And if you have a second, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. We're doing our best to get the word out about DIY repair for VR headsets, so every little bit helps. Alrighty, guys, thanks for sticking around. We will see you on the next one.